Hi, Tommy. We're going to take a look at your emphasis posting here, offer up some observations for you. And so first of all, just kind of take a look overall at what's going on here with your images, portraits, line, color, as I see it, shadow, texture, shape, a little hard to follow just in terms of where things are. Not all of the images are labeled, so and a couple of them are out of order. I'm still going to look at the images. That's not a problem. It's just a little bit more difficult to follow which you mean, only because they're not all identified. So I'm wondering if both of these are meant to be in the environment. I can guess that there probably are, but and these I'm guessing are the portraits. These are the line. These would be color then, and then these would be as I see it. But that one should be toward the end, at the end, shadow, so on and so forth. So that's just a minor thing, just helps people not stumble through. It's immediately accessible. That said, this first image is quite well done in terms of the way you're using shape, the way you're using the path, creating this sort of entry into the image, back into the subject, which is the building. You've got a lot kind of going on for you. You were smart enough to not have this yellow here too far down. If that would have happened, you would have created a lot of tension. It would have been difficult to get back into the image the way you are doing now. Also, this line is not too far over. Sometimes this line gets too far over and it's too close to this corner. So all of that is working really well here. The one thing that I would say that we could improve on would be to make a choice as to what we want to emphasize when it comes to the ground versus the sky. Whoops. This ground versus the sky, because we're pretty much in the middle here. And so which is more important to you? Is the ground more important to you or the sky? Because what we have right now is equal tension right now. And I think from what I'm seeing here that the ground is more important to you because you've taken more care in all of the very close close relationships that you have with these curves and so on. So making a decision about that is just simply a matter of moving the horizon up in your frame by tilting down a little bit, or the other way around, whichever you want to emphasize. So if you have more of the ground, you're emphasizing the ground. If you want more of the sky, you're emphasizing the sky. So it's as simple as that. But making those choices can kind of help the viewer along a little bit more. Again, this is quite interesting as in terms of a portrait. But I don't think you qualified it as a portrait. This is at the portrait distance, but it is, quite well done as a portrait. It looks like, yeah, you've got this one, which for some reason is not coming over in the larger one. So you did do that. This is the portrait. See, these are some of the things that we wind up with. Now we're in the building and qualifying it as a portrait. So that wouldn't be. Now, I know it sounds like nitpicking here when I'm saying, okay, so you weren't far enough away or you didn't organize them in the order. These parameters are meant to create frameworks for you to work within. In other words, anybody can make photographs wherever, right? I mean, we can all go out and we can do images. We can have an idea and just kind of make pictures. But that's rarely what we're tasked to do when we're doing it as a living or when we're actually trying to be creative. We have an intention. We have this motivation that is guiding us. And that intention usually comes with certain framework in which we want to work. So the idea of setting these things up and saying, okay, so from this distance, we want to address a portrait. And so the portrait is from that distance. And so when we sort of disregard that altogether, we're just basically, throwing caution to the wind and hoping something good happens, or we're randomly shooting and then later deciding what works. That's usually not what we want to do. The idea is we're going to be shooting with the idea of our intent, and then later on, we're not deciding what it means. We're deciding which best suits the thing that we were attempting to do. Not, let's look at all these things and see which one worked. So as lovely as this image is, it is kind of disqualified as a portrait because you're in the wrong place. You're way too close. This should be from pretty far away if it's the portrait. This one is, actually maybe even just a little too close, but it's acceptably, where it is. But that's about the distance. So the idea was that you started out here and you slowly got in and in and in and in. We want you to follow that. That's not just, hey, maybe you can do it. It's when we give you those kind of parameters, we really want you to do that. It's part of the project and the learning. So I'm going to jump back out so that I can see a little bit more of what we've got here. Here you're addressing line. Go ahead and move back out here. Here we're addressing line. And so we have, clearly, I think you've got some line movement going on here. You're doing some good things. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some pretty good things going on here. And I would say you're about the correct distance for line. But notice that you're not, all that different than where you were where portrait is. So I'm not sure if you were quite getting the idea of the circumferences idea, but this is a very strong leading line. It brings you back into the image. I don't know if we're able to get the idea that this image is all about line. That's another challenge, right? We are challenged with these prompts to kind of present them in the way we want. I think this is another line image. It's rotated in this sort of sideways way. I'm not sure if that works exactly. You can get away with this kind of stuff if you're kind of a little bit more abstract in terms of this shot. Maybe if we didn't have the ground there, this portion here, maybe if it was cut off here and a little bit more sky, you'd be breaking it down to a little bit more of an abstraction where you'd have just shapes going on. That would be a way to accomplish something like this. But because you have this ground here, it just feels like a sideways photograph instead of something that you probably might have been or you just didn't know how to rotate. That could be, I don't know, you maybe didn't mean for it to be sideways, but looking at what it is to help you understand how you might be able to make it work, that would be a way to kind of cut off and go for the abstraction, kind of lose the ground here, right where the finger is here, kind of all the way there. Then all you have is this sort of portion of the building. You'd be gathering more sky, so you'd have this blue with the curves and things like that. So that would be a good way to address that. So let me kind of move into some of these down here where we're working with the texture. I think you're a little bit better off with these closer images. You seem to be more, comfortable looking at images a bit closer. This is kind of an interesting strategy. I'm not sure if it has enough going on with it to really be an image that gathers our attention or really kind of holds us there. I don't know, would this hold your attention? The photograph's in focus, it's got the lines, it's got everything. It's even using what looks like the rule of thirds, and it's probably doing that fairly well. But is it, creating what you are hoping to create there in terms of a dynamic image that helps us kind of move into it and so on. So these are some of the things that we wanted to look at. Now, going up to the as I see it, this is where I'm wondering again about the distance and things like that. We really wanted to be super close on the as I see it, and we're not so close on these. This is a really interesting image, I think, and it's well put together. You have a good sense of organizing things this way. it seems like we got away from the actual project. You made some really cool photos of the, surrounding areas, but you kind of were pretty loose on the project itself. And so, just for instance, if we had a client who wanted us to do certain things, and we came back to them with some amazing stuff, but it wasn't what they were aiming for or what they asked for, they wouldn't care if the images were super awesome. They would just be like, hey, wow, what's this? This isn't what we talked about at all. So we want you to be able to apply your creativity to anything that you're given. And this is practice. This is how we practice it, so that so that you aren't in a situation where you're like, oh, well, I got these kind of parameters, this framework I got to work in. Well, I can't possibly be creative if I have that. No, we want you to be like, okay, yeah, sure, I can do some stuff within that framework, and then you find ways of infusing your own sort of vision, your own self into those images. So I think you've got a lot of things that are going well for what you're doing here. Just need to maybe pay a little bit more close attention to the framework that we set up. Ask questions if you've got some questions about the instructions and those kinds of things. That's what I'm here for. I definitely want to clarify for you that kind of thing. So you definitely can ask those questions. We'll be kind of looking at moving forward into more free-formed photographs as we move into the semester. So you'll probably kind of feel a little bit more free toward the end of the term, where we're doing images that are a lot more based on your own ideas and your own parameters. You'll still set parameters, but they'll be your own. So I look forward to seeing more of your photography. And if you need to talk to me or clarify any of the stuff, just let me know. All right, we'll see you in class. Bye-bye now.